Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just lay down a few more of the E minor to B7. That is the starting chords for summertime, and you can use that to play along uh, with the things we're going to discuss today. So I'm just going to play a few measures. E minor to B7. If you want, you can play along just to warm up. We'll do it about here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's, like I said, just to give you something to play along with some of, when you start trying some of the things we're going to discuss today. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the improvisation over the chord changes. So let's break down summertime. We basically have 1, 2, 3 parts. We have the main riff, and that's played 4 times, excluding the introduction. Then it goes to the A minor, to the C, and that would be part 2. Then to the B7 for 2 measures. Then it goes back to the E minor to B7. And once again, they do that 4 times. Then we have the end of the song where they play the G, E minor, A minor, C, and that would be part 3. Some other people might break the song down a little differently, but it can be broken down that way. And then it just goes back to the E minor after that again. Okay, so we're going to talk about part 1. So when people are playing a song like this, it would probably be very typical for them to use the E minor to B7 as the intro to the song. Now, they can choose to do that as many times as they want. They could play it 4 times, they could play it 6 times, they could play it 1 time. That really isn't important. That's just the introduction to the song. What you do have to know is when the song actually begins, when they actually start playing, playing the melody. Because at that point, then you've got to start changing the chords when the different parts come. Okay? So you need to be aware, you need to be able to, you want to try to sense the 4 measures that goes by on that E minor to B7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because after that, after you do that 4 times, then you're going to the A minor. So you have to know where that A minor comes in. But we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail in a bit. Okay, so what we're going to do, what I want you to look at is these small little triads that I'm going to play. And it's going to be the first finger on the high G, the ring finger on the 5th fret of the B string, and the second finger on the 3rd fret of the fourth fret of the G string. So if we play just those three notes, we have a E minor triad, just a small little E minor chord. Okay? And then if we play the second fret of the high E string, the fourth fret of the B string, and the fourth fret of the G string, then we have a B chord. Okay? So we have the E minor, and then we have the B chord. So take a few minutes, pause the video if you want, and get familiar with those small triads. Once again, the E minor is the high G, third fret of the E string. Then we have an E note on the fifth fret of the B string, and then we'll have a B note on the fourth fret of the G string. And that creates an E minor triad. And then we have the B chord. Now, in order to get to that B chord, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide my first finger down to the second fret of the high E, and then I'm just going to drop these two fingers on the fourth fret of the next two strings. So there's the B. Then when I go back to the E minor, I'll slide back up. Now, if you want, you can use the pinky on that E minor chord instead of the ring finger. And then in that case, you'll be sliding two fingers. You'll be going from here, and then slide the first finger and the pinky down, and then add the ring finger to the chord. Okay? So you want to become fairly familiar with those chords, with those small triads, because we're going to use them as a basis for improvisation. Now there's at least two ways you can approach improvisation. Probably in a song like this, you can play the basic blues idea like we discussed earlier, and we will be getting back to that. You know, we talked about a blues scale and creating that blues sound. Another thing you can do is what they call make the changes, and what that means is that as the chords go by, the E minor to the B7, you're basically playing notes that work with each of those chords. So one thing that you could practice for starters, if you want, you know, I wanted you to use all those measures I recorded earlier, is you could use that to play these small chords along against that. So you could play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can use that background that I laid down to practice playing those small triads against that. And then what you can do is you can practice maybe playing those same three-note triads, but maybe arpeggiate them like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 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 4. And you can vary the rhythm of those triads. You could play 1, 2, 3, 4. In other words, only play two notes of each of those triads. Whichever two you like, you can play the upper two. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? But the point I'm trying to make is when you play those triads in whatever form you choose to play them, you're basically making the changes. That is to say, as I play E minor to B7, you're playing E minor to B7. Okay? Now, in the case of a single note improvisation, I'm just going to isolate a single note from each of those triads. We know in the E minor chord, we have this high G right there, and then when it goes to the B chord, we're sliding that first finger down, and so it's going to the F sharp. So you could just use those two notes in a simple improvisation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's simple, but it's simple by design, because what I want you to be doing is I want you to realize that what you're doing is you're playing melody notes that match up directly with the chords that I'm playing, okay? And the way that you can make that interesting, such a simple idea interesting, is basically how you play them, and that you can vary the rhythm. You know, you can play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Now we can go back and look at that E minor triad again, and we see that we have this E note, that 5th fret of the B string, and then when you go to the B chord, that 5th fret goes down to the 4th fret. So once again, we can just isolate the notes on that string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Mixing and matching the rhythm however you want. And then what you can do is you can combine both of the ideas we just talked about. You can go from the notes on the B string to the notes on the E string that we played earlier, something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the important thing is to have a strong idea of what you're doing. This can't be mindless work. You have to realize, okay, my rhythm player, in this case me, is playing E minor to B7, and you as the melody player are choosing at this time to play notes that match directly up with my chords. So that's why I'm keeping the information, or what we're going to use, fairly simple and straightforward, because I want you, it's more the concept that's important. So let's review. We started with these triads, these 3-note triads. This is the E minor, this is the B7. So as you're practicing this, and you're going back and playing along with the chords that I laid down, you want to be aware while you're playing. You want to be, don't listen to just you, listen to me, and I want you to be aware of what I'm playing, and I want you to anticipate. He's going from E minor to B7, and as I'm doing that, I want you to anticipate it and know it when it happens. Be able to hear it when it happens and have it make sense to you. And then have it make sense to you that, well, if I play notes in the E minor chord while Tom is playing an E minor chord, well, that's going to match up. When he switches to the B7 chord, if I play notes from the B chord, well, that's going to match up. And that's going to sound like it blends perfectly with the chords that are being played. The final note in those triads is the B note here. Now both chords have that in common. They both have that B note in common. So the E minor and the B chord share that fourth fret of the G string, which is the B note. So once again, as you play along with the chords that I played, you can just play that B note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, a little boring, but it's also a concept that's important to understand. You're playing what would be called a common tone. That note is common to both the chords. And it's good to realize that, because that can come in useful. That's useful information down the line when it comes to other chords and playing in other situations. But then as you go back and you're practicing playing against those chords that I played, now you can play the notes from all three notes from each triad. So we know on the E minor, we have the E. If we want to stay on the same string, which I would do for now, then we're going to go to the D sharp. Then for the E, we'll play the G. When it switches to the B, we go to the F sharp. If we're on the G string, that note is in common to both of them. So once again, imagining that I'm playing the chords, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So, to review, the idea is this. That's called making the changes. I'm playing chord changes. E minor to B7 for the song Summertime. You, as a guitarist, are wanting to improvise or create a melody against those chord changes. So this is an approach that you can take. You can play notes that are actually in the chords that I'm playing. Once I understand that it's simple, it's not exciting, but that comes with time. The important thing at this point is to understand the concept and to be able to hear the chords and follow along as I'm playing them while you're doing what you're doing. So you want to be able to hear both parts and hear how they blend together. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it does, and let me know if you're able to accomplish the goal here. If not, we'll talk about it some more.